I want to welcome everyone here today to something to talk about. And today we have the honor and joy of welcoming Nancy Klimp, who is a local artist, senior center member, and she has just completed a lovely book of poetry about the Salish Sea. Yes, there are two books actually. Uh, so we're going to talk about that, why there are two books and how they are lovely companions one to the other. Uh, and so I look forward to introducing you to her work. Explore with me at the Salish Sea and Meet Me at the Salish Sea are the two titles. And Nancy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm still orienting here. There, that's better, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right.
So I'm interested in finding out a little bit. Whoa!
There we go. Down it goes. Let's try again. We'll just leave it on the ground. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's a trip into the Salish Sea.
Exactly.
So, okay. Nancy, these two books, I imagine you, based on looking at them, beautiful books. You've been writing poetry for a while. What made you kind of think about putting your thoughts together and stories together about the sea here, our sea?
It started about 6.5 years ago with my granddaughter in my arms. She was about 5 months old. And we were sitting near the Salish Sea, and these poems just started coming. It was a very interesting process, and they've come over time, and then eventually ended up 39 poems, which is for a children's book. It's too large apparently, so we turned it into 2 books. But it was it was motivated by just being with her quietly, being part of the natural environment of the Salish Sea, which was relatively new to us at that time. We'd lived here about 1.5 years. So, yeah, there it is.
You sent me a couple of pictures from the book, and the books themselves are beautifully bound and printed and lovely. And the illustrations are amazing. I'm wondering if you might tell us a little bit about Jared and how you came to do this book with him.
So Jared is my son-in-law, our son-in-law. And he is a self-taught artist, which I still can't believe. But that's, in fact, one person commented on a couple of the photos and was inquiring if they were photographs or paintings. So he's that good, as you can see, and a lovely guy, and self-taught, working hard.
Now, had he done anything like this before? I mean, a publication?
He's done a little bit of casual art, but nothing so precise and exact to what nature offers.
Yes, so that touches on something else, which is the authenticity, the scientific value. I know that at the back of these books, there are glossaries and information that kind of grounds the poetry in science. Right. So apparently he did the same thing with the art.
Yes. Yeah, he reached out to a couple of people for the authenticity and structure of the work, and and we're very pleased with the outcome.
As you should be.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm curious about that. When you were looking at obviously the poetry coming to you and then trying to make sure that you were representing the animals and plants accurately in the poems, did that take some revision as well?
Not really. I did a little research, and it all sort of fell together. It wasn't difficult. So the whole thing was really quite a fascinating process. I've done writing, but I've never published anything, and I've never done poetry to this extent. So it's just something that needed to happen, I've decided, and I was here, and Jared was there, and here we go.
So where was Jared?
He lives on Bainbridge.
Okay, so were you able to get together and work on this?
Well, we got together, but he did the art, I did the poetry, so that was separate. But he used the poems to check in with as he was doing the art. So I think there's the connection for the connection that makes them real and action-packed here and there. There's the octopus.
There you go. Yes. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot doing this, just looking into doing a little bit of research myself. It was really, there's a lot to learn about what's around us.
What's around us, what's under us, what's above us.
Exactly. Yeah, there's an action shot.
So I'm wondering, did this turn out to be more work than you thought it was going to be when you started out?
Yes, 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 and yes. A lot of work, but it just kept flowing. So we kept going, and yeah.
Did you find some mentors on how to put together a product like this?
We had an advisor, Mie, who helped us along the way with the actual structure of the books, and yeah, she was invaluable as a publishing resource for us. So she helped us get into the whole publishing realm, which I know nothing about, nor does Jared. So,
well, you know a little bit more now, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a big process. Something that this is one of my favorite pieces that Jared did. He's got the bear coming into the salmon stream, and I just love how he emphasized that.
Yeah,
it almost doesn't need words.
That is so cool. That is just lovely. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah.
So far, all of these are amazing. I asked the question, Nancy, what age level are you looking at for both these books?
So yeah, so when you do a book, a children's book, you have to go into these different categories. So we went into the category of 7 to 14 years. The art appeals to younger children and adults, as the words are not for younger children necessarily, because there's some technical terms and so forth. But yeah, so mainly, someone who can read. Here's the Seahawks hawk, which is a real hawk that comes to the home games and is trained. He lives in Seattle, not Seattle, Spokane, and comes over. And we had to get permission from the Seahawks as well as the NFL to use this.
That's interesting, because there's no representation of the logo here, just the actual.
Right. No. Well, we wanted to be respectful and careful, and
yeah.
And they came back to us within a matter of days. So it was really a smooth process. I thought, oh boy, here we go. We're going to be in line. So yeah.
Yes.
So there's Taima the hawk that comes down this tunnel into the games. I haven't seen it myself, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
And I would say that, yes, this book would be very appropriate for younger kids, as long as you were sort of rewriting the poetry on the fly a little bit, so to speak, with the hawk on the screen.
Right. Yeah.
Because the pictures would be definitely captivating to younger kids.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Yeah. And Sheila popped up with a question. If anybody else has a question, just open your microphone and ask Nancy. I'm sure she'd be glad to answer. I'm imagining there are some lovely large versions of some of these drawings too, huh?
Yes, there are large paintings, sort of popped away in the attic for now. Jared wants to do some puzzles. He wants to, carry this forward, because people have been very enthusiastic about it. So they're awaiting their next life, so to speak.
So these are, as you can see, these are pictures of the book sort of propped open. When you actually look at them, the colors are even more rich than what we can do here online.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, because it's it's an awkward angle, but you get the idea, I think.
So Nancy and I are neighbors, and I think when we were out in the street, you told me about how you had to send some of these back, not because of any just because of the challenge of like the bindings were not quite right and so forth. So there's a lot of production questions that you found yourself dealing with.
Yeah, well, Mia helped quite a bit with that, but yeah, it was it's expensive to publish books in color, as these are, and so when some of them came, the ones with the harbor seal on the cover, these spines were like popping and cracking, and I don't know what that meant exactly, but we didn't want that because we thought structurally it might not work over time. So we launched into talking to them about, redoing those books, and they turned around immediately and redid them within a week. So we were very, very impressed with the process. It's a company that's in Florida. So it's far, far away. I can't go knock on their door and get mad at them.
But you didn't need to.
No, it was a wonderful outcome. And I didn't have to pay for them. I wouldn't want to pay for them anyway, but we didn't have to struggle in any way. So
great.
So your publishing people, the people who put your book together are here in the country.
They're in Florida. Yeah, we didn't go to China. You can do this cheaper in China, but we decided just to stay here. Because also, if you do something in China, you don't have a lot of control over a mistake that just happened that I explained. So no, it's local American product.
Beautiful.
And how are you? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask how you're distributing the books.
So, okay, they're at, I wrote down everywhere. Where are they? They are at the museum. They're at the Rolling Bay store, Eagle Harbor Books, Bay Hay and Feed, and Wildcraft, one of the newer stores on the road there. And there's a website, naturespeakstous.com.
Which is what we're looking at right now.
Okay. It's got a blog. It's got, yeah, there's the little baby that was in my arms. And here's the work. And she's quite a nice artist herself. So she's really grown up around this, as have her brothers, her two younger brothers, but she's taken to it right now. And so there's our little baby.
And there's the other book.
Yeah. And this is Blakely Island in the San Juan Islands. So this is a real structure that our advisor's husband is a pilot. So he took this picture for us.
Ah.
Yeah. So everything in it is authentic. That was one of our goals, to make sure that the science is there as far as we could go with it. So we're very pleased with that. Many of the paintings are from Bainbridge. We have one about the ravine, a painting and a poem, on the walk into town. Most people are familiar with that. It used to separate the town long, long ago.
Right.
There's a mushroom poem, which is taken from looking up, standing beneath 3 trees at Bethany Preschool on the island. So that's local. And of course, the ferries are coming and going. So those are local. And the glaciers have carved a lot of Bainbridge, well, all of Bainbridge, but there's some depth on some of the roads, Tolo Road and those roads to the west of the senior center, northwest. Yeah. We have a poem on tugboats that I was drawn to. My family's from Norway, and I noticed that the Foss Maritime tugboats were started by a Norwegian in 1889, Thea Foss. And so that was of interest to me. So I had to include a tugboat poem. Yeah. And let's see.
More pictures, please, Reed.
Sorry?
Well, he's on the line or something. You're muted, Reed.
Oh, means. Okay.
You know, Nancy, you got a picture in there of my Henrietta, which is the great blue heron that's down here at the waterfront. I just want you to know.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Hank is down there too. Hank's on the other end, but Henrietta's on my end.
Oh, she's coming. She should be the next one. There she is.
Here?
Yeah. She's grabbing lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very fast, very fast.
It's amazing to watch them eat.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah,
She's,
they're so quiet and then they move.
yep.
yeah,
And the way they move with they're almost like slow lorises, the way they move their feet. They're absolutely gorgeous. She's beautiful, and she and I are friends.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a favorite picture of mine because there's so much action. Yeah, I love that. And here's some orcas splashing along. And I just was noticing in either the Bainbridge Review or the other paper that the orcas are doing much better in the last 10 years. So that's exciting.
Yes.
It is
Because the
indeed.
salmon is doing better, so everything's connected. So yeah.
We need to keep
Hooray
opening.
for-
We need to keep opening up and cleaning up the waterways so the salmon can thrive.
Right. Right. Yeah. So,
So,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say that that you mentioned that Jared is thinking about doing some follow-on projects to this. Has this opened your creative juices? Are you thinking of other things you might do, or right
Yeah,
now, or are you just trying to figure this one out?
Well, this is a lot of work, and that's fine. I just didn't know it would be what it would be, how it would evolve. So now we're into marketing land, which I also am not familiar with, but I'm getting out there, and the books are selling themselves. Once people actually look at them, they want them. So it's the connection part for me, and that's fine. We're starting with Bainbridge and then moving into Puget Sound, and we'd like to get into the school systems on some level. I'm not sure what level, but school systems, museums, aquariums.
Yeah,
What else?
it seems like there are a lot of places that it might fit in well as a book, and because it is scientifically based, it makes for a great introduction to the to all the critters and
Right.
animals and businesses. You mentioned tugs in our Salish Sea.
Right.
I'll
And
be-
my real hope for this is to just slow all of us down. I think this last year we've all slowed down quite a bit, most people. And that's what allows for this to happen, is to just be quiet in nature. And nature really does speak to us. But often we're just so busy running around and doing those things that are mostly important, but not totally. So my hope is that this will allow children to learn to sit a little bit more or walk and just be. And that comes out of my work. When I was in California, I was a psychotherapist, and I started walking with clients in nature and noticed the beauty and the healing in that. And little children are so drawn to nature anyway, but then we start, getting them busy with other things that are important, but the nature takes a back seat, and it's just so crucial for them, for being our new leaders, our next leaders coming along. So that was part of my motivation as well.
Beautiful. Amen.
And once so I have 5 grandchildren that are between 8 and 3. And how old was Waylon? I think he was 5 years old and visiting us and out on the beach, and he saw an eagle pick up a crab and drop it to crack its shell open to eat it. And he watched that whole process, and it took quite a while. And I was watching him and just realizing how important that event is in his life. And he's a nature kid, but that specific one I observed, and I was very, very pleased that happened at that point for him. So sad for the crab, but that's the life of a crab, I guess. So I think the lack of pushing children to go fast is really important for our future.
And this being a tactile thing, a book, much better than
Right.
a screen.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of my frustrations, is having done this. Now I'm on the screen all the time, getting it out there, so to speak, rather than being in nature. So it's sort of a weird outcome, but it'll be temporary.
That's right. And you can go look at the books themselves at those merchants that we mentioned earlier.
Right, right. So,
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for sharing this, and
Yeah.
thank you for well, just taking the time to walk us through the process a little bit.
yeah, thank you for the interest. I mean, I've always been interested in nature and out in nature, but this has taken, even for me, it's taken me to another level. So I think we all have many levels to visit